your state has executed 234 death row inmates, more than any other governor in modern times. Have you struggled to sleep at night with the idea that any one of those might have been innocent?
And at the center of this is a man who was executed by Texas. Why is Cameron Todd Willingham's story so important?
Here you have a horrific fire in which 3 children die, and then you have a man who's accused of setting that fire. And he's finally executed, the father of these 3 children, in 2004. And right before the execution, new evidence came to light.
No, sir, I've never struggled with that at all. The state of Texas has a very thoughtful, a very clear process in place of which, when someone commits the most heinous of crimes against our citizens,
that there was no actual proof of an arson being set at all.
John Lentini is at the top of his field, one of a small group who reinvented the science of arson detection. The change in arson science began when scientists set their own fires and studied how they burned.
From the fire just on the sofa
that was the first time science was ever really introduced into the mainstream of fire investigation.
Like Lentini, Dr. Gerald Hurst was one of the new fire scientists.
Gerald Hurst is a chemist extraordinaire with a PhD from Cambridge University.
For years, Willingham's supporters had tried to enlist Hurst's help. They finally gave him the state's arson report only weeks before the scheduled execution.
you kill one of our children, you kill a police officer, you are involved with another crime and you kill one of our citizens, you will face the ultimate justice in the state of Texas, and that is you will be executed.
What do you make of what do you make of that dynamic just happened here? The mention of the execution of 234 people drew applause.
I think Americans understand justice.
Taking a look at the photographs and video and testimony and fire investigation report, it became apparent that we were dealing with a fire which had gone to flashover.
Flashover, the instant ignition of all combustible material in a room.
Flashover had left natural patterns on the floor that all post-flashover fires tend to leave behind, and these had been misidentified as pour patterns, and thus the fire had been labeled an arson.
One of the real tragedies in this case is that Gerald Hurst has that evidence that there is no set fire before Willingham is executed, and that at that time is not enough to get Willingham a stay of execution.
I think Americans are clearly, in the vast majority of cases, supportive of capital punishment. When you have committed heinous crimes against our citizens, and it's a state-by-state issue, but in the state of Texas, our citizens have made that decision, and they made it clear, and they don't want you to commit those crimes against our citizens, and if you do, you will face the ultimate justice.
But subsequently, several of the top investigators through this country have confirmed Gerald Hurst's initial finding, which is there is no scientific proof of arson.